All right, the numbers are starting to climb. Welcome, everyone. We're going to start in just a minute. We're going to give you all some time to pop in. And those that are popping in, just to let you know, you have some options for today's webinar. You're going to be able to use today's chat. We want to hear from you. So type in your hellos and your welcomes and get to know everyone else on the call. And then also, as we go through this, we have a Q&A up here. So if you have any questions for our panelists, for myself, just overall life questions, just put it in that Q&A. And if we have the answer, we'll be sure to answer it. All right. Hi, I see people coming in from Phoenix. Hi, everyone. Hey. Okay. While we have more people popping in, I thought it'd be fun if we did a nice activity. So thumbs up if you can see my slide that says Goal Key Fun Activity. Can you guys see it? Thumbs up. Perfect. All right. If you have your iPhone or your Android, I speak iPhone, so I apologize in advance. I want you to scan this code, go to your camera. You can go in and actually just act like you're taking a picture of it. A link should pop up and then it'll take you to slido.com for our fun activity. If you are not using an iPhone and you just want to go in a browser and do slido.com, it's going to ask you for a code 361225, or we have a link, which I'm actually going to go ahead and put in the chat. Perfect. And just so you'll know who's speaking, I am Stacey Penwright. I'm going to be your host and moderator today. So you'll see me moving my head, talking, moving my hands. It's just what I do. Don't judge me. That's just how I roll. And so we got a great webinar in store for you guys. But let's jump into this fun activity while we're waiting for others to join. So let me pop this up. Boop, boop, boop. All right. Okay. Those who scan, something should be happening on your side, giving you the opportunity to, and before we even join the quiz, we want to see what city are you Zooming from today? A few of you are ready. Talk with your hands, sis. We love it. Well, thank you. I sure will. Okay, so I know some of you have already put it in the chat. Go ahead and jump in. Okay. Memphis, Dallas, Washington, D.C. This is awesome. And guys, the bigger that the font gets, that means the more people we have coming from their area. So Dallas, what's happening there? I'm in Houston, Texas. So hey, Texas people. Okay. Now I have a fun little quiz. Now you guys get to participate in. The next one, it'll ask you to put in your name. It is going to have a scoring system on it. It's all fun. The winner will just get bragging rights amongst their friends. When you go to work tomorrow, you'll just say, hey, the National Black Gold Key in partnership with American Family, I won. Add it to the resume, right? So these questions are not logic. It's not something that's in really intelligence-based, but it's going to be some interesting, fun facts that I don't think you ever cared to know about. Here we go. Let's start. Next question. All right. Giving everyone time, join the quiz. Okay, we're popping in. Hi, everyone. All right. And you still have time to join, but we're about to jump in. You have 15 seconds to answer each question. So I'm going to read fast because that 15 seconds starts. Here we go. True or false? Office workers tend to swear more at the office than at home. Is it true, false, or neither? It's about the same. All right, 6 seconds, 5 seconds. Here we go. All right. That is true. 56% of you. Look at this, 19%, about the same. That's what I like. You bring your authentic self to work. Here we go. Leadership board, Daryl, woo! All right, next question. On average, how far do a typist's hands travel in a day? Is it 6.6 miles, 9.6 miles, 12.6 miles, or 15.6 miles? 2, 1, here we go. Correct answer is, 44% of you said 9.6, and the correct answer is actually 12.6 miles. Isn't that crazy? I feel like I type pretty fast. Don't count my errors. And that was still pretty far for me. All right, let's see where we are with the leadership board. Oh, Anita. Hi, Anita. Taking a leadership board. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, next question. On an average day, how long does an employee spend looking for lost files or other items? 50 minutes, 60 minutes, 2 hours, or 3 hours? 3, 2, 1. All right, let's see what you guys said. 63% of you said 60 minutes. All right, here we go. What's the correct answer? 50 minutes. Pretty close, which I still find like a long time. I'm not even going to talk about how long I probably take to find things, so we're just going to move along. Let's just see where our leadership board is. Okay, thank you, Miss Anita, who knowing a bunch of useless information, but still bragging right. So good job. All right, our next question. On average, how often is the manager of a company interrupted? Every hour, every 30 minutes, every 20 minutes, or every 8 minutes? All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's see what you guys said. Okay, every 20 minutes, you guys believe. Let's see what it is. Every 8 minutes. That is crazy. And for someone like me whose attention span is not that strong, there's no productivity there. So that's pretty interesting to hear that. Leadership board. Okay. It's Vanice. If I mispronounced that, I apologize. But awesome. Taking a leadership board. Okay, here is our final question, and it is really close. What percentage of all bosses wish that an employee would quit? Is it 100%, 45%, 27%, or 0%? All right, let's see what you guys are thinking. All right, 44%. Oh my God, I love it that 100% said, 31% said it's 100%. And the correct answer is 27%. This should have been named how many admit they want an employee to quit. All right, let's see our final leadership board. Woo, Trina, congratulations. Virtual round of applause. You are the winner. Added to the resume, you have won our useless information, but good facts to know. National Black Gold Key in partnership with the American Family. If you need me to type that up for you, I can do that. I do 12.6 miles a minute. All right, guys, ready to jump in? Thumbs up if yes. Okay. All right, so let me turn it back into our actual webinar for today. Now, this has been great. I hope I've seen that the chat is kind of moving. I hope that you guys continue with this dialogue. That was supposed to be a great little icebreaker for you to start really getting those fingers going. We want to see participation. It's really hard to get a lot of engagement when things are virtual nowadays. And we want to know what you're thinking. How do you feel? What's going on? If you agree with something, you like it, you want to just say, oh my goodness, that's what I was thinking, or anything like that, share it. Don't keep it in your head, share it with us. Okay, next on our agenda, we are going to introduce the Vice President of Strategic Programming Initiatives within National Black. Now, Paula Fontana, her role focused on development, coordination, and implementation of new and existing programs. She also creates a way to measure these programs. Now, without further ado, I want to turn it over to Miss Paula. Paula, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And thank you for that succinct introduction. Absolutely love it. I am so incredibly excited about tonight's session. So I know that this is no surprise to anybody on this call Diversity in the workplace has proven to increase productivity as well as employee retention, but only 2% of executive level positions at a Fortune 500 companies are Black. And the National Black MBA Association is committed to partnering with companies that are looking to change that narrative. So we are providing exclusive access to its members, to assisting corporations that are matching experienced members to current director level and above roles. And we have found such an incredible partner in American Family Insurance. So I encourage you to soak up all of this rich content that will be provided with dynamic speakers. I am sad to say that I was on the lower end of that leaderboard, but anywho, I'll forgive you. Anyway, without further ado, please enjoy the access that is American Family Insurance.
Thank you so much, Paula. And we appreciate your partnership. We've been a great sponsor, and we just love the partnership we have, whether it's been virtual or even in person. But we are looking forward to being in Chicago. So yay. All right. Well, I know a lot of times when we're focused on talent attraction and talent acquisition, just like Paula has mentioned, you see a lot of companies speak about how ways to get you in, right? Like, we want to attract you. We want to get that top talent. Well, we want to discuss what happens when you're inside. We have two amazing people here to talk a little bit about our business resource groups within our full enterprise. I would like to first introduce Tammy Hernandez. She is the co-lead of the Black Latinx for one of our operating companies, Homesite Insurance. Tammy, tell us a little bit about your BRG.
Thank you, Stacy. Hello, everyone. My name is Tammy Hernandez. I am a competitive intelligence analyst at Homesite. And our BRG, short, is BALX. The longer version is the Black, African-American, and Latinx BRG. We were founded last year. Sasha Smith, who couldn't be here tonight, is our lead. I am her co-lead, assisting her. And I just want to take a moment to read our mission so you can understand the purpose of our BRG. So the BALX BRG is committed to creating an inclusive, open environment focused on increasing awareness of our rich cultures and ethnic backgrounds for all employees. We have 5 pillars that we focus on through the year, and they focus around cultural competence and giving insightful education, creating a supportive environment that fosters transparency and trust in the workplace. We're working on recruitment, retention, and professional development at all levels, creating a safe haven for our employees, as well as delivering plenty of growth opportunities at the individual and collective level. So we're here to support our fellow employees at Homesite. We do also have the pleasure of working with the AmFam BRG, and we hope that you'll be able to see some of the great work we've done. I'll pass it over back to Stacey. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tammy. Okay, I would like to introduce one of my partners in crime, the amazing Daryl Polk, who is our lead for the Black African American BRG right here at American Family. Daryl, I'll turn it to you.
Helps to do that microphone. I made it all day without having somebody tell me that I needed to unmute. Hi, my name is Daryl Polk. I'm a project manager with the Life Companies at American Family. And a year ago, I had the chance to go for the lead role of the Black African American BRG. It didn't exist before a year ago. And the multicultural BRG covered all of the ethnic groups at American Family. And a year ago, they decided that we needed to do something to be able to focus more specifically on the needs of the Black employees. But part of that was that I didn't want it to be just a social group. When we got together, you know, it's one thing to recruit people and increase your diversity numbers. It's quite a number for another for people to feel included and willing to stay around, or to even want to stay around, and more importantly, to recruit more people who look like them. So we spent a lot of time focusing on how we're going to educate our community and what it means to be a Black employee at American Family. We wanted people to walk in our shoes and see what it felt like when, you know, with George Floyd's death, how it felt to bring that to work, to be your authentic self at work. And if somebody said, how you doing, that you could actually say, this is how I'm doing. So we've had listening sessions, and we actually broke Zoom with one of the listening sessions we had after the verdict for Derek Chauvin, because people have found that we can generate a safe place for them where they can share how they're feeling about life, not just life at work. We've done educational sessions. We kicked off I'm taking credit for it. We had Black History Month and a half starting in January this past year, and just had so many events between Candy Embry, who we're going to hear from later, singing, to African-American Music Museum, for so many different events in that month, for people to know what it feels like to walk in our shoes. Because when they can do that, they can build a more inclusive culture. So that's really what we're about as we move into year two. More events where people can feel included, listening sessions. We have a coffee chat every other week at 7:30 in the morning where people just come and get to be their authentic self. So again, as I said, it's one thing to recruit, it's quite another to get people to stay. And that's what we're trying to do, is build that kind of environment for people. Stacey?
Oh my goodness. Yes, Daryl, thank you so much. And anytime Daryl feels the need to take credit, then that means he's done 30,000 times more than that. So he's still being humble. But thank you so much to our BRG representatives. It's very important for us to share with the rest of the world what we're doing internally and why it's great where we have a company, we can, like Daryl say, be our authentic selves. When things are not okay, it's okay to say that. All right, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And we are going to jump into our amazing panel session. We have 4 very amazing speakers for you today. I'm going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves individually, and then I'm going to share a little bit of information about some of the things we're doing within American Family, and we're going to ask each of these leaders within this conversation around what are they doing to really help with a lot of these leadership competencies that American Family has rolled out to us. So starting off, one of our amazing speakers, we have Timothy Hyman, goes by Tim. He's the Enterprise Chief Underwriting Officer for Auto here at American Family. Tim, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Stacey, and welcome to everyone. Greatly appreciate this opportunity. So as Stacey said, I'm the Chief Underwriting Officer for Preferred Auto across the enterprise. I am accountable for product development, product innovation, as well as product management. So, the easiest way to think of that is I'm accountable for everything with respect to auto insurance within the enterprise. My team also manages a portfolio of about $4.5 billion of premium. We're one of the top 10 auto insurance carriers in the country. And so, I take great pride and joy in sharing that with so many people, because I think many of you will probably attest to the fact that that's not typical, that someone that looks like us will be the head of a $4.5 billion of premium, but also we get to work with so many other talented individuals across the company. And so I really enjoy what I do. I've been doing this, working in insurance my entire career. And so I look forward to sharing some of my thoughts, insights, but also fielding any questions that you may have. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Tim. And we have a lot of people excited to hear you. When I was telling about the panel, they were saying, oh, Tim's going to be on. So you got a fan group you probably didn't even know about. Okay, next up, we have Candy Embry, the president of Commercial Farm and Ranch here at American Family. Candy, I'm going to turn it to you.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here and actually very honored. But if you hear a puppy dog in the back, forgive me, that's mine. But anyway, good to be here. As Stacey said, I'm the president of the Commercial and Farm Ranch Division. And so just to be clear on what that means, commercial insurance is us insuring businesses. So any type of a business risk, from a nail salon, in some cases, all the way up to potentially 30-story high-rise buildings and that. So, and farms as well, farm and ranch. So I'm learning on that one still. I have been with American Family for 20 years, just celebrated that anniversary last month. And I have a great story in that I came to American Family Insurance really just looking for a great company to work for, and in no way did I think I was coming in the door to eventually be leading a 300-person division. So anyway, different thing and a different story, but it has been a blessing for me. I came in as an underwriter in commercial lines, and I counted them up today. I've had 8 different roles in 20 years within the organization, and just have been really blessed to be where I am today. Again, insurance for me in the day before coming to American Family, I thought that there weren't very many of us, and I mean African-American folks within the industry. I didn't see that, other than every once in a while I would see someone who was selling insurance, or maybe someone in marketing. But as far as being, as Tim said, in the lines of business and accountable for profit and loss, for growth, and all of those components together is quite something. So American Family is an amazing company. People have told me before that our CEO, Jack Salzwedel, should pay me extra when I get on these panels because I can tell you great stories, and the honor and privilege to be able to be just who I am, as a Black woman every day when I go to work is just a blessing to me. But it's good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Candy. You tell me where I need to put my little half a cent to say, yes, she deserves it for all the things she participates in. I don't know what my little half a cent is worth, but you better believe my name will be on there. All right, next we have Leslie Bradley, who is our Inclusive Excellence Director. And for you guys to know, Inclusive Excellence may be called several different things at other companies, diversity, inclusion, but all focused around that. So Leslie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. So first, I've got to say, it's such a privilege being in the company of such amazing leaders. And thank you again, Stacey, the panelists, for having me. I'm having a great time already. I am Leslie Bradley, Inclusive Excellence Director. I've been with the company for about a year now, and I have to say, I think I have the best job in the company. Our division is an enterprise function that sets diversity and inclusion strategy and insights. We develop and offer a host of resources, cultural intelligence programs and initiatives, as well as provide that DEI advising and consulting that's delivered through an integrative approach. We also leverage our existing infrastructure at each of our operating companies. So we get an opportunity to embed diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout every level of the company. Our division is made up of about 2 departments, which is program and operations, and they're responsible for developing, implementing, and managing our programs, and strategy and insights, which I have the privilege of leading. We serve and partner with the enterprise, of course, and then and setting and influencing the diversity, equity, and inclusion vision, mission, value proposition, long-term strategy, you name it, we're doing it. And we also spend a lot of great time benchmarking and leveraging data and analytics so we can continue to drive that inclusive culture that you see at American Family.
Thank you so much, Leslie. And you're saying that it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to have you. Whenever you guys were like, yes, I'll be happy to. I'm like, oh my goodness, yes. And it makes me feel good because that means I can throw a party because we got some amazing people here. Well, thank you so much, panelists. We have another panelist, David Carter. He's an agency business development director, and he has a wonderful story to share as well. He had a conflict and will be joining shortly, so he's going to be popping in very quietly, but we will definitely highlight him once he joins. So I just wanted to let you guys know, you hear another speaker, that is who it is. Okay, let us jump into, let me make sure I can click my slides correctly. Here we go. Boop. Hang on. All right, I guess we'll start right there. So here at American Family, we're looking to better help our teams, which better helps our customers with one common approach. We rolled out these leader competencies that were focused on leading people inclusively, lead as an intrapreneur, and lead digital innovation. So let's start, that was our fun activity, with lead people inclusively. Here's an opportunity as leaders to consider different perspectives within your team. Relating openly and comfortably with diverse groups of people. We talked about that. We're about talent attraction. So once you get in, is your voice heard? How, as a leader, do we make sure the employees that their perspective is really well welcomed within your group? Empowering others. We have this thing where you really don't speak against another person's opinion, or you want to make sure that if you go with the flow, that's kind of has been like the status quo. And when we have true diversity, we have true diverse perspectives. And that means being empowered to speak up, share your opinion. That's how we see that change. And helping your team develop and grow. And of course, that's coming from the manager's perspective. So that's what we mean more about lead people inclusively. Now let's jump directly to our panel and hear our leaders' perspectives on that. Leslie, I'm going to start with you. Several companies out there are focused on diversity within talent acquisition, as we've talked about, and that's good. But walk us through what you feel is the next step once you have a diverse team. How are you leading inclusively?
That's a great question. I'm really excited to see more companies focusing on diverse pipeline development and diversity recruiting. Creating an inclusive culture and embedding DEI throughout a large organization like ours starts with leadership commitment and knowledge. We devote many hours and resources to ensure our teams at all levels have the tools they need to understand the importance. And we deliberately work with teams to create an inclusive culture. I think it's equally important to intentionally create a culture of inquiry where the team feels empowered, committed, and accountable for fulfilling the division and enterprise goals. I try to lead in a manner that allows the team to take the initiative and at the same time build pockets of credibility. Being a leader requires you to be invested in your team's success and how you can get the most out of their talents. And I also look for the quieter voices in the room and give them an opportunity to be heard, which ultimately contributes to the overall success of the workplace. And I would certainly be remiss if I didn't mention how important mentorship and sponsorship is to leading inclusively.
Oh, Leslie, that is a great point. We're going to have to dive in a little deeper later to talk about the differences between mentorship and sponsorship, because I do feel a lot of people still kind of get that mixed up a little bit, and showing how that importance of someone speaking when you're not in the room to hear it.
Absolutely.
All right. Candy, I'm going to throw this next question to you. Now, we just discussed the part of leading inclusively is to consider different perspectives within the team. Can you give us some tips on what you've done to consider each perspective, yet really stay focused on the objective?
Yeah, I can start with saying, number one, the dog is still barking and it is storming like heck outside. So if I have to run, you know what happened. But I would say that I think one of the most critical things that we can do as leaders is to set a foundation within our teams where everybody feels comfortable just being in the room. And, you know, we talk a lot about that, in particular as Black people, is like, we need to be in the room. We need to have a place at the table. And I think that goes a lot of different ways. And I think that, you know, for me and, you know, my experience, my history, that I am just very grateful to be at the table and to be a voice in the room. So I recognize the importance of folks feeling that way, no matter whether they look like me or talk like me or grew up like me. We all should feel like we have a valuable spot at the table. One of the things that I will say is that I do believe in utilizing humble inquiry to hear people's voices. And so I love open-ended questions, really don't accept just a yes or a no, and try to pose questions in ways that that force people to have a conversation. And so as I look at my team, and again, we totally have about 300 people. I have 4 folks on my team, but we have a team of leaders of about 35. And so we work together with all of those teams. And again, different perspectives, folks from different geographies within our operating territories, different backgrounds. As I look at my team, I look much different than most of them. And so how do we get everyone to feel comfortable bringing their perspective to the table is number one, again, foundationally to build that trust thing. And also to focus the team on the objective, probably first and foremost, is like, we love to win. That's what we say in my team. We love to win. We say together, we need t-shirts that say, we don't like easy things in commercial farm ranch. We like hard things. And I tell them, if we say it enough that we might believe it one of these days. But I think it's building that common bond and seeking out the commonalities between the differing folks on the team. And then I would just say for me, when I think about how I maybe have done that, is I have like 3 things that I keep in mind. Number one, first, you need to listen, and you need to listen intently. And that doesn't mean just hearing it and not paying attention, but engaging and locking in with the folks that you're working with and trying to lead. You must listen to their thoughts and their opinions. And then also, I think number 2, almost probably most importantly, is to challenge the folks at the table, to challenge the perspectives respectfully. I don't know what Bobby went through when he grew up, or I don't know what Susie went through when she grew up. I know what I went through when I grew up. And so as we come together to bring those ideas and perspectives to the table, is to challenge one another in a healthy way. And then lastly, I would say, then you educate. And so if we're missing the mark, and if we're not connecting, and if we are not holding on to the stuff that's coming out in that situation, then we're missing out in it. But it is an opportunity for us to educate what we've been through. Again, I said Bobby, Susie, whomever, Candy, don't know what they went through, but guess what? When it's all said and done, we should have a common understanding that way. So it's about listening, challenging, and educating.
Oh, Candy, I love that. I put it in the chat just so those who weren't taking notes, if anyone saw me, I was kind of looking over like, oh my God, where's my pen? I got to get that down. So I love that. Thank you. And I want to let everyone know David Carter has joined. Thank you so much, David, for joining. I let them know that you had to make a quick call, and that's happened. That's what leadership is, right?
Thank you. Sorry about the being tardy.
No worries at all. I do want to get you in this discussion, so I'm going to throw you a question in just a little bit. But first, I'm going to hop over to Tim while we're still on this same subject. And we talked a lot about empowering others. And we hear that term a lot: empower others, empower yourself. What does that mean for you as the manager when leading your team? And what does it mean for yourself as you continue to develop and grow in your own career?
Yeah, so when I hear that term, and I've had a lot of people say, hey, I want to empower my team or whatever, and I generally ask them, what does that mean? Because it's fraught with danger. Because it begins with, something that Candy said, is oftentimes to empower someone is really to say that you trust someone. And for me to trust someone, first and foremost, we've got to set some clear expectations. And let me walk the exercise I did with my team that newly formed. So I wrote some expectations, and I laid those out. And I shared them with the team. And I said, I want to be clear. These are my expectations. Now what I need to know, what are your expectations of me? Because we need to ensure that our expectations are aligned, because if they aren't, I can't trust you, nor can you trust me. That's what empowerment is, right? And so, we had this meeting of the minds. There was a lot of, I didn't know that about you, Tim. I didn't know you expected that of me, right? And so we reached this point of clarity. And if I empower you, give you that accountability. I don't need to check in, right? We have a shared common goals, and now go execute. Because mind, all you need to come to me is, how can I help you remove a constraint? And so it becomes, I don't know, my internet looks a little unstable, but you know, it's really important for me as a leader is that alignment, not only that alignment and clear expectations with my team, but also with I work with and the people I report in. So I've always been, you know, throughout my career, asking my managers or my leaders, are we aligned? Because once we are, go and execute. And so I'll leave it there because hopefully we can include some more questions for the panel.
Yeah, I really love that. Setting those expectations on both sides. Oh, that is great. That's something that is, I know it's a struggle for a lot of people. I know if I've developed within my career, I found that I have the closest relationship with my manager actually, when I feel that we're on the same path and I understand what you're looking for from me, and you understand what you're looking for from, well, you understand what you're looking from me. So that's awesome. Thank you. All right, David, getting you into this discussion as we talk about leading inclusively. Now, how can those of us that may not have direct reports, but they're in roles of influence, how can they empower others?
Well, that's a great question. And I gave that a little thought, and I'm reminded of, you know, opportunities in my career where I may not have had direct reports, but I had positional influence. I think the first piece is to remember that we're all coaches. You should all look for opportunities to advocate for others. It helps the enterprise, it helps the company, it helps grow people, it helps grow their confidence. So many times we forget that it takes a team, and you have to be willing to help others as much as, if not more than, you help yourself. So sometimes you have to put yourself out there and take a risk. I think it was Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, you will ultimately get what you want. So you have to figure out, as a servant leader, whether you're in the position or not, you have to be willing to take a stand. One of the phrases I would tell my team, and I tell myself now, remember, it takes a village to manage a career, because we've all done a lot of things well, and we've all made some mistakes in our careers where we wish we might have done it a little differently. And if someone had, pulled our coat, tapped our shoulder and said, hey, maybe you should adjust here, maybe you should rethink that position, it would change a lot of things on your trajectory. Don't be hesitant to give credit to others who are deserving. There are a lot of people that work in the shadows. There are a lot of people that work tirelessly. You can see that as a peer or as a director, even though that person doesn't report directly to you, and share that because it's going to help everyone. Positive reinforcement goes a long way. And sometimes we forget that a pat on the back or an attaboy is exactly what someone needs to keep going, because we all get burned out, we all get stressed, and we all sometimes forget the ultimate goal. And the ultimate goal is to get the team to the finish line, not to get me to the finish line. And here's my last point on this. When asked, don't be afraid to speak truth to power, because many times you are in the room. If you've ever seen the play Hamilton, you're in the room and you have the opportunity to say what you think, and sometimes say what may be unpopular, but it is what you believe. And there is nothing wrong with speaking your truth professionally and respectfully. And I think so many times we take the opportunity to go indirectly and not say what's necessary. And I found in my career, when I removed that governor of, I'm just going to say the politically correct thing, but more importantly, I'm going to say the honest thing, it helped my career more than I knew, not because I didn't care, but because I was speaking truth.
Oh, David, you gave us so many great quotes. You're going to have to put that Zig Ziglar one in the chat or send that to me later for me to send out as a follow-up, because that was so great. Then when you hit me with the Hamilton, the room where it happened, I started singing that in my head. Man, you're I couldn't get all my good ones in my head processing. No, that's awesome. And when you mentioned one of the things I thought about, especially think people who can be in more of a thankless type job where you just do this great work and it's in the shadows. I think of our amazing speakers we just had for our business resource groups, because they're doing this in addition to their job. Mm-hmm. And it's coming from a level of service, something that they want to see happen. And a lot of times it can become an expectation because you're doing so well, but it's not necessarily something where it's just like broadcast all the time, right, on our company intranet, or anything, or used in our true performance goals with our day job. So I'm really glad that you brought that point up. So awesome. And guys, please make sure I'm putting some comments in the chat, but if you have any feedback or anything for our panelists, make sure we want to hear that. So let's jump into our next leadership competency: lead as an intrapreneur. So there's just so much uncertainty and change, and people are looking for something that they can really hold on to, believe, and aspire towards. Now, when a lot of our panelists have touched this a little bit with more of treating your career and staying focused, in this case, treating it like a business. What's your vision and purpose? How can you maximize your professional relationships? How are you driving results within your role and communicating with influence? So now let's jump into some questions focused around that. David, you were most recently off mute, so we're going to start with you. Now, you have experience managing an agency. How important was it for you to maximize your professional relationships, and what tips do you have for the rest of us?
I think when you start talking about professional relationships, you can go 1,000 different directions with that. As an agency owner, you want to be necessary in your community. So your professional relationships span all sorts of activities. The first piece of advice or point I would make: be involved because you enjoy it. If it's a passion, it's never work. So leveraging any community groups that you get involved with, any chambers you get involved with. I am involved with the 100 Black Men of America. I was involved with the Urban League. I was on the board of directors. So there are things that I had a passion for, and I didn't necessarily immediately correlate it to this is going to drive my business as much as this is going to drive my community. This is going to drive me helping, me being involved, me giving back. As a result, I did drive my business. I did help. I did coach. I did lead, but it wasn't because I went into it with the idea of I'm going to leverage this relationship as much as I want to give more than I take. And at that point, I think people can see your heart, people can see your direction, and people can see your passion. And as a result, they want to do business with people that are active, that give back, and aren't concerned about themselves first. Now, having said that, one of the things you always have to keep in mind is your reputation is your brand. So how are you branding yourself? In every interaction, you have to make sure that you're branding yourself as a business professional, which sometimes means you have to take the high road. There are times you want to tell people exactly what you're thinking, And you know, this is in a different context and speaking truth to power. You know, we're talking about, as an agent, you're running a business where people trust you and put money in your vision, if you will. So you have to be careful. But as an agent, you have to keep in mind, everyone has a story. So I think it was Candy that said, you have to be intentional when you listen. Because when you listen to people, they tell you everything that's important to them. They tell you all of the triggers. You know, in so many of my conversation as an insurance agent, people would tell me about their marriages. They would tell me about their kids. They would tell me what's important to them. They would tell me how much they love their car, how much they love their house. So all of this spurs from being intentional in listening. And again, does it directly correlate to insurance? Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But here's what does directly correlate: trust. And once they trust you, they will do business with you. It doesn't matter your color, your race, your intellect. Once they know you care, that's everything. So you have to leverage that relationship to the point where you actually do care because you're involved. What's the other point? Oh, be authentic. People, you know, especially in today's world, we all can identify the person that is not authentic. You know, as we like to say, be real. And, you know, if I'm real, then you have a sense of comfort. I may not say it the way you do, but you can relate to what I'm saying. And that, I think, is key to people trusting you, people wanting to do business with you, and developing long-term relationships. So I've been able to overcome so many things in my agency career because I was actually feeling like I was talking to a friend, not talking to a business opportunity. And when you talk to people as though you're friends with them, you get a different response. You're even allowed to say a little bit more because they trust your opinion. So for me, professional relationships are important, but I would say every relationship you have as a business owner is going to be critical. You have to treat them all like $1 million opportunities because that's exactly what they are. In the insurance industry, you know, 85% of an agent's income comes from renewal. So once I get you, I have probably 10, 12, 20 years of residual income off of that individual. So I do treat them like they're $1 million prospects because in my mind they are.
That is awesome. And while you were giving us some more great quotable things, we had a couple that came into the chat that I wanted to share. And one was, you write your resume every day. And that was more when you were speaking a lot about the branding. Then we had one, give more than you take. And it related a lot to the service that you mentioned. So guys, thank you so much for those great comments. All right, so now we're gonna jump over to you, Tim. Now you've touched on this a little bit. It's important for your team to understand the vision and purpose of the organization so each employee can see how their role impacts that vision. What have you done to share the company's vision to help your team better support the company within their roles?
Yeah, I mean, it'll sound like I'm, repeating this, but it's really about alignment. And so for my team, we revisit our company's vision statement, which is to be the most trusted and valued customer-driven insurance company. And so I sort of unpack that with the team and try to gain the alignment, right? So when we say we want to be customer-driven, I asked the team, what is it, what does that really mean in terms of how the customer views us? So when we think about an insurance product, I would ask you to think, when you buy your insurance product, do you walk away with a nice package and a bow? No, you don't. What do you walk away with? You walk away with a promise, as David was talking about, as an agent, that agent will be there when you need it. for us as an agency company or direct company, it doesn't matter. We need to be there when that customer needs us. What's more important is what I try to convince my team is, as we develop products, as we manage those products, the first thing we have to think about is every interaction that customer has with us is important. And so we need to optimize every one of those experiences, because the moment that we do, the customer then says, I do place value in my partnership or my, the premiums that I pay. I believe in that company. I trust that company. They do value me as a customer. And so we actually do this a lot when we think about product development and the product development lifecycle in insurance. I always go back to, how does this align to our vision? And if it doesn't, then that means we're not in alignment with our organization, our peers, our agents, our call center, and most importantly, we're out of alignment with our customers. So it's really just, you'll hear me say this all the time, that vertical alignment, that alignment across up, down is so key, because if everyone's walking to the same beat of the drum, then we can really do a lot of important things for our customers.
Thank you. And Tim, keep saying it. We got to hear that. We got to understand how that alignment works to our advantage. That is what we're here for. So never think it's repetitive. All right, Candy. Now, a part of communicating with influence is appreciating candor. We all touched on this a little bit. How do you encourage open dialogue within your team in a way an employee can feel comfortable?
Mm-hmm. So I think, again, thinking back and reminding folks that we're talking about leading as an intrapreneur, which is a play on entrepreneur. So as a 94-year-old organization, American Family Insurance, we decided several years ago that we wanted to function like entrepreneurs. So there we incorporate this intrapreneur term. And I'm thinking back when I think about this communication, and I see on your slide here, communicate with influence. And so I have to tell you, a few years ago, I was asked to do a fireside chat with a man named Mikkel Spain, who is the CEO of Zendesk, and he's from San Francisco. So it was so cool. I got to sit with him and to talk with him about his role as a founder and CEO of a startup company called Zendesk. And prior to the time that I got to sit with him, the funnest part was to do the research on him and to see where he was in his head and how he ticked. And he was a fascinating man. But one of the stories that he told me that reminds me of this question that you're asking me right now, Mikkel Spain said that whenever he was hiring new people in his organization, that he purposely would take them out to lunch, and the entire time he would cuss, like every five minutes. He said he would do that on purpose. He said, I would just cuss up a storm. And he said, what I wanted to do was to see if, number one, if they could deal with me. But then the other thing, as I think about that myself, is I believe that that was his way of setting this tone within his team that said, it is okay to be your authentic self. It is okay to bring exactly who you are to work every day. So to the question that you're asking me, Stacy, about how we do that within our team, and I do say that it starts with the leader. That's my responsibility. And if I can't sit with my team in a meeting and have them all feel comfortable to talk to me about some of the things that they've tried that failed, or if they can't talk to me about being stuck in the middle of a problem that you just can't figure your way out of, if they can't feel comfortable to come to me and say, I don't have any idea what they're talking about when they're telling me to do this thing, if my team can't do that with me, then I'm not doing my job. And so how do I do that? Again, it's about authenticity. We've heard that word over and over again, but what does authenticity really mean? And what does it bring to the table in an environment, in particular with a legacy 94-year-old company that's trying to act like a startup? You know, it's like we got to have people feeling comfortable to bring their ideas to the table. We use a lot of tools around lean innovation. And so, you know, we talk about it's okay to fail. We talk about the fact that, you know what, it's like we use humble inquiry. I'm not going to give you the answers and I'm not going to give you direction. I want you to come with the solutions to me. I want you to keep your eye on the prize so that we can drive results within our roles. And so all of those techniques and strategies that we can use, which really, quite frankly, are really solid leadership skills that we all aspire to have. And I'm still trying to get there. But it's different to lead today than it was 25 years ago when I started as a leader. We used to tell people what to do and they just say, yeah, do it. But no, now we stand in front of our teams and we say, okay, let's talk about the results. Tell me why you think this is this. Tell me what you think that we can do better. And also as the leader, and someone told me this several years ago, and I hated it when they told me. They said that when you walk into a room of people in the organization, a team, you really shouldn't be able to tell who the leader is. You should have to wonder, because collectively that group of people should be working together to lead to the goal, which is to achieve our results. And I didn't like to hear that. I'm old school. I'm like, the manager should be the manager and everybody should know, should know that when they come in the room. But it is all a part of building this team and building this level of comfort with. I want folks to go, I just want to be myself with Candy. I keep tissues in my office when I had one when we didn't have to work from home, because everybody was always crying when they came into my office, but it was because they felt comfortable just to be them. And I am so imperfect. And I'm proud of that. And I like to tell people how imperfect I am. So yeah, that's my story, Stacy.
Oh, and I love it. Oh my goodness. To be at a table, I'm pretty sure they had all those awkward faces of like, oh my God, the manager's cursing. Do we acknowledge? Do we laugh? Do we give? Oh, I wish I could have been a fly on that wall. I do want to address one thing for our audience. We appreciate your time so much and want to be respectful of it. We're having such great conversation. We want to finish out this last piece and then I will send follow-ups on our remaining part of the presentation, but definitely want to hear from this little closing as we go on with Leslie. So if you are able to stay on, please do. You'll see Robin has already put in the survey for the post event that you can go ahead and just take a note of and save for yourself. But those can stay. We will go over just a bit. And thank you, panelists, for that. But Leslie, I want to go on with this conversation. Now, different roles may have set performance goals created by the company. And again, we've all been really talking about that. How can we encourage employees to set high standards of their own and individual performances?
That is an excellent question. I think the best way to set the stage is by modeling high performance goals yourself, being driven by your values, seeking to do what is right. To me, that's foundation. Everyone wants to be successful at work, and we definitely need to ensure that teams have access to the resources needed to perform efficiently and effectively. Setting those high standards for yourself and your performance also requires you to go above and beyond what's actually expected of you. And I'm a firm believer, and my team will tell you, and I want you to be the CEO of your space, owning that, maximizing your success and owning your seat at the table. You know, one of the most impressive things you can do in your job is to strive to continually improve, you know, anticipating needs, finding the problem that needs to be solved and go solve it. And lastly, certainly bringing your own ideas to the table amplifies your value. And to David's point earlier, speaking up, even if your voice shakes, find your voice.
Oh, thank you. I put that quote on there, CEO of your space and owning your seat at the table. I love that because it's just so important when, and you just spoke about this, how you kind of show those performances, you show that higher achieving. And one thing is, as an individual contributor, when I see that of my manager, it makes me want to do even better. It just is. And it's like, if she's really putting her all for this, why would I not put my all? And I've unfortunately had leadership where I saw that they're more of, you know, they're not in the example with Candy where you walk in the room, you know who the manager is because they're standing on the table. So they want everyone to see. And so I've had that type of leadership, and it makes a difference to go through exactly what you're talking about, Leslie, when you're able to really see that by example. So thank you so much for sharing that. All right, guys, we have come to the end. This has been amazing. Our very next leadership competency that we were going to discuss, which I will be sending out to everyone who is registered for today, is lead digital innovation. And so I'm going to mention all three of these in the recap, as well as you'll have another opportunity to take the survey, and you will have the full bio of each of our amazing speakers. Very big virtual round of applause. I know that we didn't get to each part, but I wanted to make sure that we had a very robust conversation, which I feel like we did. I know I took a lot of mental notes and I jotted down a lot, and I'm going to be reminding myself so I can share all these good quotes that I took in our recap. But again, speakers, thank you so much for your time. National Black, thank you again for your participation. And our external attendees, I just want to make it clear that if you weren't sold about American Family after hearing from our panelists, I know if I wasn't here, I'd be sold again. So this is something where we're not faking the funk. This is what it is. You've heard a lot of words with trust and authenticity, and that's what you've had today. Each of our speakers were really sharing their truth. And even before I invited them to be panelists, these are things I heard from other people without them being in the room. So you know it's real. Again, thank you so much for everyone who's joined. Thank you to our speakers and thank you to our partners. We will let you go and please enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a good evening. Thank you so much again, American Family, for this engaging session. It was incredible. And I know you listeners are just as inspired as I am. So definitely apply whenever you see a posting for American Family. But in addition to that, your feedback is important to us. The first 25 people to fill out the survey that you will see in the chat will be entered in a chance to win an Amazon gift card. So do not delay. Again, thank you, American Family. Thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Bye, everyone.